Hi, my name is Safi, and today we're enjoying a presentation that is part of the Masters of Entrepreneurship program through Western Carolina University. We're going to be talking about assumptions as this relates to building a solid business plan. So assumptions are the foundation of your financials and your key to a successful business plan, especially when you're presenting it to potential investors. So we'll look quickly at the elements of a business plan. We'll include an executive summary, which is an overview, a description of the company, the products and services you'll offer, a market analysis, strategy and implementation, which will include your marketing plan and operations, and then the description of your management team. The biggest piece that we're interested in today, though, is your financial projections. And when we look at financial projections, we want to consider how assumptions play into that. So considering financial projections is a lot like looking into a crystal ball. You're going to be predicting the future. You'll look a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years out into the future to talk about your numbers. So what's profit and loss statement? What can you expect? Cash flow, balance sheet. So before you can really get a good grasp on those, you have to know what your assumptions are. What's the basis for the numbers in all of these documents? You want to be able to describe these in pretty intense detail. They are the building blocks of your business plan. If they're well-founded, well-researched, well thought out, and defensible, then you're much more likely to be able to raise the funds you need to start your business. So your assumptions will include sources of revenue, your sales projections, variable costs, fixed costs such as salaries, and then fixed one-time startup costs, your investment requirements, that's your startup costs and working capital, what's it going to take to get up and going, and then your sources of investment. Where is your funding going to come from? We want to look at a little bit more detail for each of these. So for sources of revenue, you're going to be selling products. You may be offering services or vice versa. And you're going to have a particular business model. You want to be able to describe each of those in detail and why what you're offering to the public is going to be in demand. Now you want to think about sales projections, and this is the piece that's going to be particularly interesting to your investors. Now you've got a few ways that you could figure out what your sales are going to look like. And I've included a few methods here. This is not an exhaustive list, so you want to be able to do your own research to build your own sales projections if these methods don't apply to you. So method number one, what's the average sales volume per square foot for similar stores in similar locations and similar size? Keep in mind this isn't the final answer for adequate sales forecasting, since a new business won't hit their target for perhaps a year. Another method, for your location, how many households needing your goods live within a mile? How much will they spend on these items annually, and what percentage of their spending will you get compared to your competitors? Then you can move this out 5 miles, 20 miles. Another method, if you offer 3 types of goods plus 2 types of extra cost services, which is the case in the business we're developing, you want to estimate sales revenues for each of the 5 product or service lines. Make an estimate of where you think you'll be in 6 months, such as we should be selling 5 of these items a day, plus 3 of these, plus 2 of these. You kind of get the picture. Then calculate the gross sales per day and multiply that by 30 for a month, or how many days you'll be open and offering those in a month. Next, we're going to look at some of our costs. Variable costs are unique in that they will vary as your sales vary. So as your sales increase, Wages will increase. As your sales increase, your inventory might go down or need to increase. So let's look at a few examples here. Again, you're going to have to make this unique to your business. So wages, especially if sales are tied to commission. Inventory, packaging and labeling. This could take into account packaging and labeling of the product for the shelf, as well as packaging for distribution. Utilities. Maybe you are producing a product and your utilities increase the more product you produce. Again, same with raw materials. Postage. If you're sending the product out, is there cost associated with that if you have increased sales? And then whatever else might be unique to your particular business. All right, fixed costs. Now these costs don't change as sales change. So we'll look at a few examples I was able to pull together, and then again you're going to need to think of your own. So amortization, this is when you would charge the expense of an intangible asset over the useful life of the asset, and some examples of that are contracts, trademarks, domain names. Depreciation is a similar concept, for this is for tangible assets like pieces of equipment. Insurance. There may be several types of insurance that you have that are a fixed cost each week or month. Rent, self-explanatory. Property taxes. Salaries, and it's important to distinguish between salaries and wages. Salaries are fixed compensation paid to employees irrespective of their hours worked. So no matter how much sales you might have, if someone's salaried, their wages don't change. Loan payments, and then the interest associated with the loan payments. Startup costs. Now these are the one-time expenses associated with getting your business up and going. So let's look at those. Again, each business will be a little different. So you need some money to really get the seed of your business to grow. You might have legal fees, site selection or lease fees, construction costs. It's materials and labor if you're building the actual site or having to do any work to get the site up and ready. Tool and equipment purchases or lease, fixtures and furniture, any logo design or signage, marketing materials, and advertising. Now, you probably have your own list that's a little bit more expansive than this, and that's good. Now, investment requirements and sources. The work that you've done so far on this business plan, building your assumptions, building your financials, this should give you a picture of what you need. How much money do you need? How much investment do you need to get your business off to a good start and keep it going until you hit the break-even point? So these are your investment requirements. And then sources. There are a variety of sources. You might have your own nest egg. In fact, most investors will expect you to. You might have friends and family. Community capital. So community capital, we'll go into that a little bit deeper with my next presentation, which is going to look at bootstrapping your business. Community capital can come in several forms, so we'll look forward to a deeper discussion about that. Financial institutions, so you might get a small business loan, and angel investors are also an option. Again, not an exhaustive list, and maybe you know of sources that I haven't thought of or included. So this is just to wrap us up and kind of conclude the presentation. Assumptions are the building blocks and foundation of your business plan. You want to be able to work them out in great detail. You're probably going to have a spreadsheet that calculates your balance sheet, your costs, your cash flow, etc. But you also need a separate document that describes where you got your assumptions for and why. I hope this was helpful to folks, and thanks for listening.